Hi. So in this example, we're using our camper data to demonstrate the lookup functions. So there are two lookup functions, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, and the V and the H just refer to whether the data in the table that we're searching in is organized vertically or horizontally. And since we're looking in a table that's organized vertically, we're going to be using VLOOKUP. But they work basically the same way. So I'm assuming that instead of having the counselor information in my table, I need to look it up based on which cabin the camper is in. So I will use VLOOKUP to look up the name of the counselor. So I'll use the cabin name, and I'm going to look in this table over here. And what you do is you select all of the table data. Don't select the header, just the data. And we want to use absolute addressing so that we can copy this down the column and it'll look up the cabins for all the other campers. And then you put which column of the table that you're searching in. So in this case, because we're looking for counselor, we're looking in column 2 of this table. So it's not talking about column of the spreadsheet, it's talking about of the table. If we were looking for the spirit animal, we would look in column 3. So here we're looking in column 2. So now I see that cabin Cedar is assigned to counselor Myra, and if I look here, Cedar, Myra, that's correct. And if I had put column 3 in there, it would return goat. And I can just copy that down the column, and it's going to look up all of the counselor names based on the cabin that the camper is in. We also can use the lookup function here we're assuming it's going to be making an exact match. We also can use it to look up values in ranges, and this is what I do when I say want to look up students' averages for the semester and look up whether they got a B- or an A+ or what have you. And so I'm going to do a similar example here. We're going to look up the student's height in this table, and it's going to return a message to describe the camper's height. If I say equals VLOOKUP, and I look up their height in this table, and I should mention that the table has to be organized from smallest to largest value, and these are basically cutoff values. So if I select this table, again using absolute addressing, and then I say column 2 of the table, and I hit enter, what happens is it's looking up 55 in the table. And so let's copy this and you'll see how it works for all of these other students. So any value that is below 50, okay, less than 50, greater than 0 and less than 50 is going to be assigned very short. Anything that's greater than or equal to 50 and less than 60 is going to be assigned short. So we see here this 59 is assigned short. Let's see, do we have a 60 in our table? No, but we have a 70 got assigned to very tall. And so it's using these as cutoff values. So equal to 0 and less than 50, very short. Greater than or equal to 50 and less than 60, short. Greater than or equal to 60, and so forth. And like I said, you could do the same thing to assign letter grades for a class or something like that. Now, one thing going back to our previous look up for the counselor name. Now, this is also using cutoffs as well. And so if I didn't have my data organized alphabetically, then this wouldn't work correctly. It would give me the wrong value. So if I were to say just temporarily sort this, if I were to sort this in reverse order, then notice that all of the counselors are getting messed up. And so it's relying on the fact that it's in alphabetical order to look them up. And likewise, if I had a cabin value that wasn't an exact match in my table, say for example, if I put Doug Fur in here, then it's going to look at the closest match. So Doug Fir is greater than or equal to cedar and less than elm, and so it's returning Myra. If I don't want it to do that, if I don't want to have things in alphabetical order and have it do approximate matches rather than exact matches, I can change my lookup function by adding an extra parameter, an extra argument to it. I can pass 0, and what that means is that it means only do exact matches. And so now if I copy this down the column and I put my Doug Fir in here again, it's going to return an NA because it doesn't exist in the table. So this is by adding this extra 0 on the end here, I'm saying that I want it to do exact lookup. And so anything that doesn't match exactly, I'll get an error message, and I don't have to have my data sorted alphabetically. So the default is cutoffs, like the height table down here. But if I want exact matches, I can just put a 0 as a parameter here in my lookup. And just add that extra argument on there. So now if I do this back to oak, then it works okay. So that's the lookup function.